From fresher to directors of engineering, what made you to stick at Kissflow for this long?
They gave me a freedom and a space for me to grow separately.
So how do you guys strike a balance between the tools where it can able to solve the customer requirement, how it goes?
What is the problem that we are going to solve?
Right.
So that comes first.
Multiple products and multiple versions for each of these products. So what next coming up?
And the next big move probably would be
So, like Kissflow, various versions, and of course, you guys would have used various tech stacks over a period of time, right? Always trying to solve a particular business problem. Now, it's an interesting challenge, right? Picking the right tools to solve the customer business pain point or a problem, right? So, how do you guys strike a balance between the tools with the where it can able to solve the customer requirement? How it goes?
So, for me, one of the key learning which I learned in my journey is the business need getting into technology track, right? So, as you mentioned, we are a technically strong company. So, in the early days of Kissflow, we used to pick like technology heavy choices. Then we learned the business plays a major role in the path. That's the time we formed a team with equals of PMs and developers with UI kind of people. So when I say PM, I meant like product management.
Right.
So they play the role of the business needs.
Right.
So they make sure the product is built in the right track for the business and the customer needs.
Right.
And technology people, square leads, architecture, maybe including me and Adhi, we play a role of finding a best choice for the business needs they are asking. Right. So then that's always the reverse way, right? The business needs comes first in the place. Then the technology comes second. That is a learning we learned in our career, but that is one key thing.
Right. So the product manager and the product owners kind of collaborate and compete with each other, and
that's why we find the balance.
Great.
There will be sometimes there will be a conflict.
Right.
We will say this technology will not support the need. Right. And they will say we need this technology, we need support. That will conflict will come into the play. At that time alone, we will both come down or we'll just do a handshake and then solve the things problem. Right. Very few things that will definitely come. Right. We cannot solve all the business needs with all the technologies, right? That's a challenge. That's usual, not in Kissflow in any company. Right.
Are there anything that you would like to add on top of what Vivek said?
So the first is like our mindset change. So what we felt is like instead of picking a technology, first we are thinking what is the problem that we are going to solve. Right. So that comes first. Then we started looking up the technology, what is best suited for us. But initially, as Vivek said, like we were first more towards the technology rather than the problem what we are trying to solve. So the biggest learning is the mindset shift. Right. Like we are solving the problem, right. Not we are dealing with the technology, not just choosing the technology. Okay. So this helped us to strike the balance between the technology choice and the problem that we are solving.
Right. That's an interesting perspective, right? Now our front-end tech stack is React and back-end is Python for the most part, right? So how do we arrive at that decision? So what led to us to that?
It was a big journey, Swami. Actually, it's not React. Right. We started our thing in front-end from like plain JavaScript to like ice faces. From ice faces, we moved to Bootstrap. From Bootstrap with JavaScript, we moved to jQuery. From there, Angular and then React. So React is not like single choice. In the journey, that is one way. Even now, it is not React. We might move to Vue or we might go back to Angular. Right. Not like something fixed at all. Regarding Python as front end, even in back end, we had a lot of journeys. But one thing which pushed us to Python is a Google technology. Right. So when we moved to Google Cloud, right? So like the Vision APIs, all these APIs have been more evolved in Python. So we ourselves changed from Java to Python.
Now, how do you take it? Because you said you are a Java guy, right? From Java to Python.
Yeah, actually, adding to that point, like yes, we normally talk like a language is just a tool, right? So it's not our identity. I can't say I'm a Java developer, but actually when I joined and Vivek joined, we were actually a Java developer. Right. So that's one of the reasons why we joined RSA. Right, but after joining here, we learned language is just a tool, right? So yeah, so that then we don't stick to any languages. That's why we were able to shift easily from Java to Python. Overnight, actually, we shifted.
But was it easy for you guys to let Java go?
we had some initial hesitation, but
Right.
of course Python is also cool language, so we just loved it.
Right.
In the initial period, the main thing is in Java, we have called interface, right?
Right.
That's the key concept in Java.
Right.
So when we move to Python, there's nothing called interface. It's a runtime language, obviously.
Right.
So that there are a few it's back, but once we move to Python, we just learn the strength of Python.
Right.
Then we came to know that language is just a tool in our journey, right? So Python has some strength, some weakness. Java has some strength, some weakness. So we should choose our language as a tool for our business needs and the product.
Right.
The language should not decide the business need. Businesses need and the technology should decide their language. That's what.
Was it a tough decision or it's an easy decision?
It is not. Like maybe 1 or 2 months it was like maybe difficult to digest. We used to use like Eclipse kind of IDE.
Right.
From the IDE we moved to a different lightweight IDE. That's really a good feel for us. Like Eclipse will boot for like 5 minutes, like opening Eclipse by IDE. But now Python IDEs are not like open in fraction of seconds. Those things we found it gain. But after 2 months, we really found the beauty about Python, and then we jumped in.
Great. Now, how the team took it, right? That transition from Java to Python, were they comfortable or?
Actually, by that time, only me and Vivek are the core developers. Apart from that, we had a couple of developers. Yeah, they took it very,
Okay.
Anyway, they are going to learn new language.
Right.
So they took it in a positive way only.
Right. Right.
No, I have been, now let's move on to the next one, right? So, I've been in this DevOps transformation journey for the last 12 years, right? One thing I noticed very unique about Kissflow is you guys are on a very high velocity when it comes to production deployments. You guys really clock 30 to 40 production deployments a day, easily touching 300 to 350 production deployment per month. And I heard that all these things happened during COVID times, right? It really accelerated. You guys have really grown 300%, 400% of production deployment. So usually in my previous venture, I saw COVID was the biggest challenge for the teams to, handle the productivity and all. So how you guys have gone through this journey of COVID, right? What happened when it came and how you guys tackled it, and still you are tackling it, right? So how you guys are handling that with, that much of ease, or you're something like that, yeah?
Yeah.
Actually, the Kissflow Coral is the development time where the COVID era hit actually. So we did 3.0. After listening 3.0, we have been starting Kissflow Coral development. Then where the COVID era hit us. The beauty about Kissflow at that time is we had a complete team, like from like PM, like DevOps, we have like UI, QA, everybody has been formed.
Right.
We didn't know, it was a part of our journey. If everything got settled in the right track, when we hit the COVID, when we moved to the remote, since we have a role-based separation for every row, every task, we used to handle it in a simple way. I would even say we are like 3x productivity in the normal day than COVID.
Cool.
Because when people suddenly get into lockdown, they don't know what to do, right? So we all work completely in focusing in the building product.
Right.
This is really a great 1 year of maybe 8 months of development. We released Kissflow Coral.
Right.
Saying complete like requirement from PM to end to end, like UI releasing. It took 8 months for us to release the complete product of Kissflow Coral. That happened in COVID era.
Right.
It's like playing a T20 kind of.
Actually, most of our developers, most of them prefer working at the night.
Okay.
Not all of them, but at least most of the people, right? So, but when coming to the office, face-to-face office, it is slightly tough for them.
Right.
But COVID gives that opportunity.
Right.
Only the morning they will come to just for a login for have a status call. That's all.
Right.
Then they'll just their own time. Then they will start coding at the night only. So it helped them to, in a way, COVID actually helped them in a way to leverage that particular advantages.
Right. Right. Cool.
Okay, so both of you almost spent 17 plus years at Kissflow, right? Right from starting as a fresher to now a director of engineering. Definitely a lot of lessons learned or experience learned and mistakes made and learn from the mistakes and all. So if I can ask you, what are the top 3, learnings that you had in this journey? What would be that?
Maybe top 3, maybe I'm not sure this top 3 or not. This is my personal learned I journey. It may not be visible for others. So I would say like few things I learned in my journey. One is as a fresher, right? I used to do a lot of trial. I told you, right? Like I used to do a lot of trial practice and then fail to learn.
Right.
That thing only scaled for like first 3 years or 4 years for me.
Right.
Because we can't just keep on doing practice. We don't have time to keep on doing practice and fail to learn things.
Right.
The one thing I learned is we need to do a lot of learning to acquire knowledge.
Right.
Just because of doing some practices and then getting learning is very few. But after 3 to 4 years, we have to scale up. We have to do a lot of learning. We have to read a lot of books, a lot of TED Talks, videos. to learn. That's one key learning I just learned in my thing. Obviously, the second learning is a team. So individual learning is different from the team learning and building a team. That's my second learning. So it's completely the different journey for me. That is my second learning. And the culture. So Kissflow as a unique culture, we are like 6 core values. We used to call like 6 core values. In that, this core values helps us to achieve certain things. So one of the core value is like fail fast.
Right.
That is one of the core value. And I really love the value. And another core value is like speak up.
Right.
So I should always, people don't normally think if you speak something wrongly, the audience will take it wrongly. That's not the truth. Kissflow as a culture, we just trained employees to be very free for them to speak up, even though they are wrong. It's nothing to worry. Is what we just learned. There is one. So I am a person who used to ask stupid questions. I would say stupid questions. I don't never feel ashamed if I'm stupid or not stupid. I just simply put the question to Suresh or Dinesh or whoever it is. I just simply put it. That's one key thing I learned in my journey. I don't remember much thing. We used to say always debate the problem, not the people.
Oh, okay.
When a problem comes to the table,
Right.
somebody would have done a mistake.
Right.
So the key thing is not to point the person and then just get the problem. Get the problem, try to solve the problem, not the person who did it wrongly.
Right.
That is one.
So you guys practice blameless postmortem ahead of the time before even that term exists, I guess. Cool. Adhi, how about you?
Yeah, sure. So the first and the key point is like the responsibility, right? So you'll be given a complete responsibility, so that you kind of getting a ownership of any particular thing that you do in the Orangenscape, right? So I'd like to recollect one of the example during my earlier days, right? I joined as a fresher, as I said. So just within a few months, I have been given a very important module. Like it's called a persistence module, right? So I kind of shocked. How are they giving such a big module to us for a fresher?
Right.
Then I felt I have been given more responsibility. Then I become like a more cautious about the feature, and I kind of getting a ownership for that particular module.
Right.
So this is kind of a building ownership and responsibility. So this gives stick to the company. This is one of the core reason why I'm sticking so long. You're
Right.
getting responsibility. You feel responsible, right? So this is one of the key learning. The next one is like, of course, as Vivek said, building the team.
Right.
So actually, I was an individual contributor, but one key lesson: if you start building your team, right, your growth will be exponentially higher, because instead of you do one feature,
Right.
if you build a team of like 5 people, if all the 5 members build 5 features, then you're actually essentially building 5 features, right? So it's your growth is exponentially getting increased, and of course, while mentoring the team, you are gaining your knowledge as well. So this is second one big thing that I have learned.
Right.
And third one is, of course, being assertive. So I'll not talk well,
Right.
but it's not actually always, it won't work always good, right? So we have to be assertive. If something is not working out, even if Suresh or Dinesh says something, I have to say,
Right.
no, this won't work, so we have to change the strategy, something like that. So this is one thing. So these are all the 3 things. There are a lot of things, but if you ask me the top 3, this would be the thing I would say.
So something like speak up and fail fast and never hesitate to,
And building
building the team and all. Now, let me put you on a spot. Sure. Now, I heard this story from you before, right? And let us share that also. So, can you talk about the famous production database deletion incident?
That's one of the thing that I want to forget. Anyway, fine. See, actually, what happened is like during cleanup, as I said, right, that first version of the Kissflow is a multi-instance based model, multi-instance based. So every customer have a dedicated server as well as the database.
Right.
So what we have to do is we have to often clean up the database,
Right.
because we have some kind of trial customers.
Right. Right.
And we ran out of databases, right? So we have to clean up the trial expired customers.
Right.
What happened is accidentally I ended up deleting one of the production customer database.
Right.
So that's a tragedy actually for me. But actually, you know what happens? The entire team supported me so well.
Right.
I didn't expect that kind of a support from the my CEO Suresh or even the team members, the kind of support that they give me is like I couldn't imagine.
Right.
So that makes me more responsible to the problem and the product.
Right.
And I was so comfortable fixing the problem, but luckily we got the backup and restored the data. So customers also so happy.
That's cool. No, we all gone through, like some kind of these kind of things, right? Vivek, anything like that, like something like that, or even more interesting than that?
So I couldn't remember very huge like DVD relation. But one funny thing is like it's just a funny thing. When you put a new build, right, as a developer, it's my mistake to put a build with a bug, correct?
Right.
So as a developer, I did a wrong coding. Bug went into production, and customers will be screaming about the bug.
Right.
And then I will fix the bug in matter of half an hour. I'm the one who put the bug. Fix the bug in next half an hour. And they'll be really happy. They'll be giving me a lot of applause. And I will think, if I put a bug, they'll give me applause. So I just put more bug, I'll get more applause.
Something like we spread the virus and fix an antivirus for that.
So the customer always sees that how quick we respond. I'm not saying that to good. So that is one thing. That we have a freedom to put a build with a bug, because we have like very few customers in the initial days, but now it's very critical. We can do that now.
Right.
You guys, both of you guys have actually created a superstar team, right? They were very cool, and they're quite a size. It's not a one member or a two member. I really see a kind of a team there. So how you guys are able to build such kind of like a stellar team or a super stellar team or however it is? So what was that journey, and if you can share some of them?
So to put it frankly, if Kissflow is a family, my engineering team is my first child.
Right.
That's what I would see my engineering team. But like a few managers like Rajesh, Dinesh, a lot of people helped me to build this team to this level. It's like it's very very close to our team, right? We took a lot of strategies. We took hiring like 5 years, 6 years kind of people. We took hiring like 3 years, 2 years kind of people. But the one thing which gave me a real success in the team building is hiring a freshers and then training them. So we hired like 10 to 15 people of freshers, and then we train them for 6 months, and then still now they stick with us.
Right.
The bonding between them and us is really strong, and there are like key people who have been doing the current Kissflow Coral and the next version of the Kissflow is those people. It's really cool. Of course, there are a few people like 4 years, 5 years also joined us.
Right.
They're also doing really good. So one of the key successes is fresher training.
So it's an interesting mix you have.
Yeah.
Okay.
We still follow hiring like every year. We still follow like 10 people of freshers into the team every year, and they are building that team behind it. If you see by like 3 years, they have like 3 years of freshers, and now they have like 3+ years of experience.
Yeah. So actually, what I have learned, I have given to my team. So as I said, like the responsibility. So if we make the people to responsible or own the problem, then you don't have to do anything else. They will figure out and they will just finish the problem as because it's their problem, right?
Right.
So first thing is give the complete ownership to the people,
Right.
so that they will just own it and they'll solve it. So that is one thing that I'll be following. And the next one is of course the flat structure. And I think that is not that I'm doing from my side, that's a part of our company DNA.
Right.
So we are a flat organization, right? So anybody can share their own views, or even I have get a recent feedback from a very junior guy. He says like he appreciated that particular flat structure.
Right.
So when you start listen, even a junior guy, so they'll feel more responsible. Right. So that way the team is like we were able to build a successful team.
Right. So now if someone wants to part of your team, right? So what does it take for them to get into your team? Can you share some of the secrets, the thing that you look out for any new candidate to become a part of your team? What are the qualities you're looking at them? And
first, of course, they should have the passion to solve the problems, right? And they should not stick to any language. I mean,
Right.
And if, they should be able to solve more towards solving the problems rather than what technology and tools like that.
That if you take that engineering team is like one portion, and we have product team is the upper hand, right? So product team has a lot of divisions. So engineering is one of the division, and we have UI UX, and we have PM, and we have QA, obviously a lot of divisions. Like every team, every vertical will have their own strategy of hiring people.
Right.
And when it comes to engineering team, the main skill which I look as personal, I looked into is the logical skill. How much they are strong.
Right.
Even though if they are average in React or Python, it's fine for me. But I want people who are really strong and logical. So I believe like people who are strong and logical can learn Python or Java, any technologies very quickly.
Right.
So that's how we majorly pick people with all strong logical skills.
So 17 years of journey.
So many stories, so many experiences over the 17 years, right? And multiple versions of product and multiple versions inside the product and right. So what next?
Okay, so you all know the major strength of Kissflow is to enable the domain users or the business users to solve their own need. That's the core idea of the Kissflow platform itself. In this COVID era, we found like few cases where the business users needs the help of the IT team
Right.
to complete the application. So we are getting into a new journey of low code, no code, in which the business user will start the application building with his domain knowledge, and the IT guy will do a handshake and combinedly develop the app into to the end by adding some like coding capability, maybe UI capabilities. So he will give his portion, and this guy will give his domain knowledge. Combinedly, we will get a output. That is what we are currently focusing on in the next version.
Right. Cool. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So far we had developed multiple versions, right? So, and the next big move probably would be bringing intelligence to the product, right? Something like right now we slowly venturing into AI, ML, things like that. So something like smart features, like filling the form based on the out of the attachments, as I said earlier, right? So basically bringing the intelligence to the product through AI, ML. So that would be our next major move, probably.
Right. Great. Thanks, Adhi. Thanks, Vivek. It's really nice talking to you and really cool. Let's continue, what you guys are doing and let's bring on more memories and more.
Thanks, Swami. Nice
Thank you,
talking to
Swami.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
It was a pleasure meeting you.